In this episode, we speak with Jeeta Bandopadhyay, co-founder and COO of Tookitaki. The company operates in the financial crime prevention space and is a pioneer of the concept of combating financial crime through a community-based platform. This collective effort, known as the Anti-Financial Crime Ecosystem, enables financial institutions to acquire knowledge, collaborate, and utilize typologies to counter emerging financial crime patterns, thereby ensuring their own safety and security. Tookitaki was recognized as one of the top 100 financial technology companies of 2023 by the Financial Technology Report. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoy the show. If you like the episode, click to follow.
RJ Lumba is the managing partner of GrowthCap and the executive chairman of Market Insight Media. He is the host of Growth Investor, a podcast featuring today's best investors, executives, and founders. In the minutes ahead, we'll uncover insights and strategies for accelerating growth and succeeding in business.
Jeeta, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you. Same here. Honored to be part of this.
So financial technology is an area that we cover quite a bit in different ways. Maybe where we could start is to tell our audience a bit about what Tookitaki does, which area of FinTech it operates in, and the type of growth and scale you've been achieving over the recent years.
Sure. So I'll start on a lighter note because a lot of people may not know or think Tookitaki is a Japanese name, maybe. Tookitaki is an Indian name. It originates in the language called Bengali, eastern part of India, and it means hide and seek. So we are seeking out hidden patterns from noise and data, and that's how we came across this name. What we do, drawing parallel to our name, we are a financial crime technology platform, and we sell to banks and fintechs, basically, and help them protect them in their money laundering and fraud scenarios, basically. So we are an AML and counter fraud software which operates in the financial crime space. So that's what we do. Now, what is our USP? Maybe before we talk about our growth, because the USP is the driver of the growth. So from an USP point of view, so now if we look at the segment like the financial compliance space, it has been a very, very evolving space. And the reason because, how our transaction patterns have evolved over the years, 40 years before we used to only transact in cash. It moved to check. Now, it moved to remittances, or, we have mobile banking or internet banking. We had cards. Now it has moved to a completely different way of transacting. We have a lot of options like government-led online payments. You have QR code payments. You have P2P payments. And what has happened is that because of the multiple choices and the boom in fintech, which you mentioned, the boom in fintech, customers have a lot of choices, actually, which means that organized criminal rackets have a lot of choices to circumvent the money or also do fraudulent activities for the money loss. To talk about the industry a little bit, we have literally around $2 to $3 trillion of money, which are either lost for fraud or money is laundered on a year-on-year basis, like on an annual basis, which is around 2 to 3% of the global GDP. That's what we are talking, and that's the problem we are solving here. Now, because of this problem, the customer behavior is changing. So what it means for the frontier or the frontline organizations, which is our banks and fintechs, they also need to adapt seamlessly or continuously to this evolving customer behavior. Now, this basically I'm drawing parallel because this segues to our USP. What's our USP of Tookitaki? So we exactly help our customers, banks and fintechs, to basically quickly adapt or seamlessly adapt to changing customer behavior, figure out or detect the fraudulent patterns, the new and the emerging fraudulent patterns, and prevent them, actually. So, and how do we do that? So we basically have pioneered this concept of AFC, which is anti-financial crime ecosystem. So we have built an ecosystem where it's an invite-only platform, which basically draws industry leaders, financial crime industry leaders. It can be law officers, can be, let's say, ex-regulators, can be compliance officers of banks and fintechs, or it can be also NGOs like people who are dealing with victims of drug trafficking, human trafficking directly. So basically, the ecosystem people who are aware of the patterns in the global corner, they can contribute there. And that's the ecosystem which our customers get access to. So basically, these people come, they contribute the patterns that they are seeing today. And our customers, be it a digital bank, be it a traditional bank, be it a payments wallet, or be it just a remittance payments or online lending fintech, let's say P2P lending fintech, they get access to the scenarios which are relevant for their segment. They can download that in our product and they can directly use it on their data to see alerts, basically. So that makes the entire process, and this process revolves with a continuous basis. So new scenarios are coming up. You can think of it like antivirus, where let's say you get a virus alert. Okay, these are the new viruses that are in the system. Do you want to scan your system to prevent from the new virus attacks? And they can really do it, like it's really fast, and they can do it on a continuous basis and keep themselves always protected, which means that this allows them from a regulatory context, they're always compliant on the new regulations, on their new data, production data, which also, because they're effective in the compliance way, they are also cost efficient. So they are able to contain the cost of compliance. So they have an effectiveness of how they're dealing with this. They're efficient in dealing with the compliance problem. So totally they build a kind of a sustainable compliance program. And we are empowering our customers, which is banks and fintechs, to build a sustainable compliance program. So that's what we do. And that's our USP. Now coming to the growth story. So we started generating revenue from 2019. We spent 3 years, 2015, 2016, 2017, building the product. And 2018, we did some pilots. 2019, we had our first customer. And from 2019 to 2023, we have mostly grown 100% year on year. So that has been our growth story. And even in COVID, we were able to retain that growth story. So that's been kind of the growth story. And the customers that trust our product, be it from an email or be it from a counter fraud point of view, to the mentions of United Overseas Bank, it's kind of one of the top 3 leading banks in Singapore. Fubon Bank, one of the top 3 leading banks in Taiwan. Then we have fintechs like GXS, which is a digital bank of Grab, very similar to Uber in Southeast Asia. Then we have Tencent's payments platform. Then we have the top 2nd leading wallet in Philippines called Maya Wallet and Maya Bank. So these are our customers. And we are very Asia focused, I would say. Our home market is Asia. And we want to become, I would say, future forward from $100 million company in the next 5 years. And we believe, we can do it from Asia alone. So that's what our story is. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I'd like to dig in a little bit deeper into the technology, how it actually works. But before we go there, you have a very interesting background in that it seems like you're not a technologist by educational background, but yet you've succeeded in being a founder of a fintech company and you've been doing exceptionally well. So tell us a little bit about your journey from academia to professional career to founder.
So, yes, you are correct. I have a very diverse background. So, I have a master's in English and a post graduation in marketing and communication. So, it's a very different background. And I also started my career with a kind of, I would say, a positioning, like my title was expert positioning reports. Actually, that was my title. And what I used to do is that annual reports are generally very boring, like of any public listed companies. So I used to take those annual reports and position them in a manner so that in the AGMs, shareholders will put more money, actually. So that was my work, actually, because I come from an English background. Then I shifted my career and I joined the largest media conglomerate in India, the Times of India, as a kind of a business journalist. And I was working on behalf of them. And while I was in Times, actually, I got an opportunity to, apart from doing my day job, which was into the business magazines of Times, there was an opportunity that came across my way where Times was really trying to promote the SMEs and the startup ecosystem in India. This is back in 2011, 2012, that time. So I got to meet and interview a lot of, I would say, startup founders in India today who are like billionaires, they have already exited, unicorn, like Flipkart founders, Paytm founders, got some interaction with them and was really inspired by, what they were doing, how they're doing, how they have started their business on their own. So that really inspired me. But of course, I was not courageous enough to take the step myself. So when Abhishek, my partner, who is the founder and CEO of Tookitaki, came down from US basically, and he wanted to start a business, and he shared the idea with me. And he said that because he has never worked in India and I was known to him, so he said, why don't we start together? And that's when I jumped and took the offer, because the seeds, I think, were already sown while I was doing those interact, and that really inspired me. And I jumped on to take the opportunity. That's how I became from a professional to a founder. Things are not easy. It's not always a rosy path, and I had to learn a lot of things on the way. But I would say that this kind of immense learning or enrichment, the faith that the team members of Tukitaki, Abhishek, and also the investors of Tukitaki had in me helped me, encouraged me to learn a lot, self-reading a lot. And I strongly believe that if you have the willpower and if your fundamentals are correct, you can get things right. So that's how my journey has been. And I literally also now, I think I look after tech in Togitaki. So yeah, I completely learned it on the way.
Fantastic. Speaking of your investors, you've got notable ones backing your company. Can you tell us a little bit about how Viola and SIG, how they've been helpful to the company in helping it scale, not simply the financial capital, but other things they may help you with?
Yeah. So when, we had Viola or SIG, I think we can talk about Viola because Viola was an initial investor in Actimize, which got bought over by NICE, kind of an incumbent in the space of financial compliance tech or compliance tech, if we can call it. So Viola, that's why they were interested in investing in us, because we had this unique concept of ecosystem, and then our entire product, FinSense product, is built on big data, AI, ML. So they were very interested to invest because they already had a very good experience, I think, with Actimize. So I think from the point of view, the investor, apart from the funding, when generally founders would choose investors because it's like a marriage, like the marriage needs to work mostly. So you generally choose about the investor's track record, that the kind of segments or industries they have expertise, they generally invest in, and what can they bring to the table. So mostly it's like in a very stage of the company, let's say when you are doing 0 to 1, 1 to 10, because currently we are in this 10 to 100. But when Viola invested in us, we were in 1 to 10. So the type of investors you need in 0 to 1 versus 1 to 10 and 10 to 100 are very different, because you have a different GTM outlook, go to market. I mean, you have a different organization structure. So people who are investing in those would have the nuances, that what kind of organization structure you would need, what kind of GTM you would need to help accelerate the company from 1 to 10. So mostly as founders, I and Abhishek used to look at, apart from the funding, that does our mindsets match? Like, can we operate together? Any investor, doesn't matter, it is Viola, Jungle, or SIG, or Singapore government, who were investors in us, and Tunes now. Second is that the network that they bring, not about network that they bring, let's say they can help us with a HR professional, let's say, who knows exactly in 1 to 10 what type of organization you need to build, what kind of people you need to have, maybe, and what kind of interview metrics you need to set so that you hire the right talent. It can be a network pool of that, or it can be a completely different network, that how do you need to look at your business plans going forward from a financial angle. Or it can be a network that what should be your go to market strategy, what should be your sales organization structure, so that you can accelerate your growth faster. So these are the three areas where we basically judge the investors network and where they can help, either in people or in go to market, mostly in these two areas. And that's how we got the investors.
Shifting back to the key driver of the business, you have this consortium of, I'd say, experts across the financial crimes intelligence network, and they all provide data towards which your engine, is able to impart intelligence to others, your customers. Is it the case that you constantly need to kind of generate more like new data of what the bad actors are doing out there?
So I'll just correct you a little bit. So
Sure.
there is a consortium like, regulators. There have been many trials in many areas. So like Netherlands, two, three banks of Netherlands came together, tried to build a consortium. Even, in Singapore, something similar is going on. US also has a clause called 314B, where basically they encourage the banks to share the data to catch those bad actors. But our consortium is little different. So we build a consortium of patterns. We did not build for data because data, it's very difficult to share and very difficult to get. As an AI company, we build our own synthetic data based on the patterns. Okay. So it is like a concept of like where, the normal people like us who are experts in this financial crime will come and just write in simple English. Okay, this is my pattern. And there is already a graphical interface that translates into a graphical pattern. Basically, normal English get translated into a visual representation for the person who is writing to validate. Yes, this is the pattern I am saying. And then that visual interpretation gets broken down. That's the AI language. Literally, we wrote a language, gets broken down into risk indicators, we call, or indicators that denote risk.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very, very specific to the customer's data. So once you ingest this pattern and you apply it on your own data, then only the risk indicators gets formed. So it's very customized to your data and you are able to generate the alerts. And to help customers generate the alerts, we even recommend the thresholds based on their data. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not one size fits all, like when it comes to beat money laundering, catch the money launderer or catch the fraudster, there has to be some tweaks. But mostly what happens, they are polarized by data, but they're joined by the criminal pattern. So
Mm-hmm.
most, if I'm an organized crime, let's say criminal, I will try to launder the money from two different banks in a same way. But the bank, in order for the bank to figure it out, they need to apply in their data and to figure that unified pattern and report that.
Mm.
So they are unified by crime, but polarized by their data. So hence the right thresholds need to be applied. The right risk indicators need to be generated for them to catch that unified pattern. So here is a difference. So the consortium is of patterns and the patterns get downloaded, it gets applied on the data, then it comes together, it comes to life, basically pattern plus data together, and you get the alerts.
We're coming up on time. I do have two final questions. One is, can you tell us about a person who has had a profound influence on you?
I would say that to be my business partner, Abhishek, actually, because had it not been for him, I wouldn't have taken the leap to, become a founder. And the immense, I think, visionary and also multitasking he's able to do at the same time, that also pushed me a lot. And he initially also, he pushed me a lot to, out of my comfort zone because I was a completely business person, moved to tech, and the faith also he has. So I think he has been the most influential person in my life, at least from a Tukitaki's point of view. Yeah.
Last question. Can you tell us about a charity, cause, or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
I would say, two things. The first one would be the business that we are in, actually. It's kind of beyond business because if you understand the vision, we are like trying to build safe and secure societies. People have spoken about secure payments, but we are talking about secure societies because millions of lives are at stake with respect to money laundering, and millions of funds are at stake for victims of fraud, right? It can be a poor person, entirely their bank, let's say their account gets robbed, actually. So it's very, very personal to me, actually, that what we are trying to do. And I think it is the purpose that gives me the strength to carry on. Even if there are multiple lows, I would still carry on because the purpose is so, I would say, human and so personal for me. I can relate to that. And the second would be, I think, mentoring founders, like early founders, startups, because the challenges I had faced actually. So I would generally, and I help a lot in the Singapore ecosystem, like early stage founders or women founders, can be any founders, doesn't matter. with the right amount of coaching or little bit of an advice, what can help them. So these are the two things that interests me or excites me or what I do.
Excellent. Well, Jeeta, I want to thank you again for taking the time. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Same.